I blame my recurring rape fantasies on the fact that I'm a feminist. I've never made any bones about getting boned in exactly the fashion that I want, but as a girl, my equipment can be kind of trickier to manage, therefore I need to be a boss in the bedroom to ensure that my stuff gets worked the right way. It gets really tiresome always being the one to, sorry. It gets really tiresome always being the one to be in charge, and don't shrinks always say that people like fantasize about the opposite of their reality? So I guess that's why I find myself wishing that my typically sugary sweet sexual encounters were sometimes peppered with assault. I decided that the best way to forfeit that control while still holding on to a modicum of it for safekeeping would be to hire someone for the job. Not to put too fine a point on it, I wanted a male hooker to rape me. My first thoughts were of New York artist Brock Enright, who founded Video Game Adventure Services in 2002. It's a company that provides a rather violent designer raping for a price that actually rapes a wallet more than it does a customer. But I've heard of escort services that provide similar realistic rape and abduction scenarios for a fraction of the cost. I didn't want mine to be crazy violent with like punching and shit because you know, I don't mind fingerprint or like fingerprint bruises on my wrists and stuff, but I need this to stay pretty so I can get fucked for free on other occasions. I also didn't want any duct tape involved, or you know, I didn't want to be gagged, you know, unless it was like with a cock. And so began my quest to hire a rapist. I started by reviewing hustlers' profiles through escort websites, but I was totally turned off. Even though they said they only serviced women, they all looked like total homos. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against gay guys whatsoever. I'm incredibly faggy myself. But I just don't want to get raped by one, because like, you know, I just don't think that they'd be like up for it, you know? So, I actually had more luck in the erotic services section of Craigslist. I didn't have to go through a middleman, and all the guys I corresponded with were more than happy to send me like pictures of their faces and their cocks free of charge. And the pictures were really important for me because one of my main concerns about hiring a hooker was that he might be ugly. And I'm not one of those girls that needs an emotional connection to fuck someone, and I don't even need like their last name, but I need them to at least be like attractive so I can be attracted to him. And I'm into faces, and I wasn't sure I could get into it if he had an ugly one. So I decided that he'd need to wear a ski mask. Because I wouldn't know if he was ugly then, and also it would be kind of like more thrilling and like scary and hot. So of the dudes on my short list, one of them had a ski mask, but in the same sentence he also said that he had a gun we could use, and thus ended his brief tenure on my short list. So I ended up making a date with a 21-year-old guy that I will call Dick. And he said he exclusively serviced women. I liked him. When he sent his picture, he wasn't ugly, which was good. And he also was like half Guido, half frat boy, which was like a kind of good rapey combo to me. So, that was good. And he assured me he could handle the rape fantasy because role-playing was his specialty. And he would perform the whole fantasy with no time limit for $300. And even though he wasn't heinous looking, I still wanted him to wear a ski mask. So because of my preconceived notions about hookers, you know, regarding their reliability and character in general, I decided that I'd take the reins on that project and get my own ski mask. So I made the trek to a large sporting goods store, and only to find that ski masks weren't in season. This was in July, actually, last year. So I left the store, sans ski mask, and I was like gripped with this fear that like, oh my god, I'm gonna like come face to face with my rapist in a few short hours. So I called Dick up and I told him that there was a change of plans, and instead of accosting me outside of my apartment like we originally planned on, we would set up a date rape scenario. So he agreed to meet me at a bar in my neighborhood and get a few drinks first. I went to the drugstore and picked up some condoms and some tucks. because I was so nervous that I was like borderline diarrhea. And I know he's just like some whore, but like on Craigslist, but I still didn't want like a dirty butt in front of him because that's embarrassing. So I also stopped at the liquor store and bought 2 bottles of wine and like started drinking immediately so I could get relaxed. And then about an hour before our date, I got a text from Dick saying, yo, I don't want to charge for this. And I texted back and I was like, if it's all the same, I would just like to keep the arrangement as we planned. And he responded with, are you a cop? So I was like, so I called him up and I explained that I didn't want to get raped for free because I felt that the exchange of money was the only way that I'd be able to maintain the small amount of power I needed to feel comfortable. And besides, like at this point, a large part of the allure of this whole thing was that I was actually going to fuck a hooker. And giving me a freebie would rob me of that opportunity. So I set him straight, and like an hour later, I got a text from him letting me know that he was at the bar, and it said, I'm here, babe. And as I walked up the street toward the bar, I could see him having a smoke outside, and he was cute enough, but skinnier than the picture, and way younger than 21. And at the time, I was 28, and I was like, Christ, like who's raping who here? So we hugged briefly and then went inside and began pounding vodka sodas to cut the tension. And I was pleasantly surprised that he like immediately took control. And he decided that our safe word would be surprise. And he told me that he was just going to keep coming on as strong as possible until he heard me say the safe word. And so we played a few rounds of erotic photo hunt on the bar's Mega Touch. And I was taking the game really seriously because it's like, you know, it's a serious game. And he was like, and he wasn't paying attention to it at all. And he like kept pushing his face into my neck and saying like stupid but like appropriate things like, oh, you're such a dirty girl, and like, yeah, I liked when you touched her titty, like referring to the naked girl in the game. And then he put on the full court press and was like groping my boobs and like reaching his hand down between my legs under my dress. And by this point I was sufficiently drunk and getting turned on by his dirtbag display. And my tights were soaking wet, which he of course pointed out. And I began to think I wasn't really cut out to play the victim because I was fighting my inner slut, which ached to push my crotch toward his hand, and instead of pulling away like my fantasy required. And I knew it was time to get out of there because like I was gonna ruin the whole thing and just like fuck him in the bar bathroom.